Unified School District Governing Board meeting on September 18th at 5 p.m. May we have a roll call, please? Ms. Gray.
President Patero.
Here.
Trustee Flynn.
Here.
Trustee Tilley.
Here.
Trustee Duarte. Trustee Hunley. Here. Trustee Wilson.
Here.
May we have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved. Second.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. Thank you, Mr. Flynn. May we have a vote, please? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. Item 1C, the board will adjourn to closed session for discussion and possible action on matters of student discipline, property negotiations, litigation, public employment, and employee discipline, dismissal, or release. Madam Clerk, are there any public comments?
No public comments have been received, Madam President.
Thank you very much. We shall now adjourn to closed session. Buenas noches, bienvenidos. Good evening and welcome to the Fairfield Sassoon Unified School District Governing Board meeting this evening on the Thursday, September 18th, 6 p.m. I would like to invite Senora Veronica Porras to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Thank you very much. Madam Superintendent, a report from closed session, please.
Thank you, President Patero. Under items, student discipline, the board received information. Under conference with labor negotiators, the board received information. On employee discipline, dismissal, and release, the board gave direction to staff. And the last item on our agenda, warehouse operations supervisor. By unanimous vote, the board has officially appointed Christopher Equinoa as our new warehouse operations supervisor. You have to stand. We need to appropriately embarrass you. Mr. Equinoa has been in the district for the past 9 years, serving as a stockroom assistant and secretary 3 in the maintenance and operations department. Mr. Equinoa also brings to the warehouse operations supervisor position 6 years experience from the private sector in his new role. In recommending him for this position, one of his references wrote, "What sets Chris apart is his unwavering work ethic and dedication. He is dependable, efficient, and well-liked by peers and stakeholders across the district. His ability to communicate effectively with both site and central office staff would serve him well in a supervisory capacity, especially when coordinating removal of surplus, managing mail services, and working across departments. The staff highly recommends the official appointment of Chris as warehouse supervisor with a start date of September 22nd. Congratulations." And there is no more to report from closed session.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. For my report this evening, I'd like to start with a quotation by a writer by the name of Mary Gordon. And Mary Gordon wrote, "A fatherless girl thinks all things are possible and nothing is safe. On September 10th, 2 beautiful young girls lost their father so horribly and so publicly. There's been so much vitriol in our country and on social media and in our community, and we can all feel it. We were talking about what their father was like. Well, I'd like to focus, because we're on an educational institution, I'd like to focus on his beautiful daughters. I lost my father when I was 11 years old, and that was 50 years ago. I still think about him every single day, and I hang on to the 4 words he told me for the last 50 years, and those words, that dark chocolate is sweeter. The students used to make fun of me and my skin color in my own culture. So, as educators, as teachers, as community members, please remember our children. Little girls every single day are losing their fathers, tragically, some to illness, some in war. And these girls are going to have, their mother is going to have to explain to them what exactly it is that they saw in a way that they can understand. So I implore every single one of us, regardless of what we feel and think about on the top, please look at those little girls and hug your little daughters. When you see these children at school, tell them how beautiful they are and how smart they are, and encourage them every single day, and tell them how much we love them. And on that note, remember, a fatherless girl thinks that all things are possible and nothing is safe. Thank you so much this evening. Madam Superintendent, your report, please.
Thank you very much, President Patero. Thank you, trustees, for this opportunity, to the staff and the community that are in attendance. Wanted to this September 11th, we did have a wonderful showing of our safety group and from our cities over at the Public Safety Academy, recognizing Patriot Day. I'm also really wanting to make a huge gratitude to Monica and Perla and the rest of the group. You're going to notice that we have a different platform for our board meetings. Change is hard, and one would think that changing board meeting platforms would not be significant. It is. Lot of work, a lot of behind the scenes triaging and answering questions, and so I really do want to thank the two of you for everything that you've done to prepare for this meeting. So I'm not sure if you've heard, but we have a vacancy. Our own Dr. Nikki Parr is now our county superintendent of schools. Her first day was on September 1st, and so what that triggers is a 60-day deadline for the district to make a determination whether or not they're going to appoint an individual to finish up her tenure, which ends on November of 2026, or whether or not to go out and do a special election. At a special board meeting last week, the board decided to move forward with an appointment. So applications were put out and they were available starting Monday. Right now, we have one application submitted, but the deadline is not until October 3rd. Just to let people know, no late applications will be accepted. If you have questions about Trustee Area 7, you can go on our website and it will show you the map. Just for folks, because I'm a landmark person, is up where Laurel Creek is, that part of our district. If you have any questions, you can go to our website or you can contact the superintendent's office. As I do at our meetings, I always start off with our grounding document, which is our LCAP and our 6 LCAP goals. These goals really help us make decisions, keep focused and targeted, and really provides a roadmap for the district on how we're utilizing our time and our resources. My leadership expectations for our staff and the employees that I work with are not complex, but there's a lot to them, making sure that all staff understand that they have a role in improving teaching and learning, that relationships absolutely matter, that classroom and school visibility is incredibly important so we know who we're serving and we know how we're impacting the students in our community, that families are certainly our partners in this work. We could not do it without them, and every child absolutely can succeed. So how do we work on this? I always like to bring data to the forefront in order to help make sure that we are monitoring progress over time. This is our MAP assessment, and what this is showing you is we are making some significant progress when we're comparing last year's fall MAP data to this year's. We've got all students represented. We have the different grade levels, 3rd through 11th. You're going to notice that our little ones are not reflected on this chart, and that is because for the first time, they're being screened utilizing a reading difficulty screener, MClass, and so we'll have data on that in the future. But in addition to the MAP testing and the results that you're seeing here, we also utilize other tools and strategies to monitor how our students are succeeding. For example, Fairfield High leadership supports student accountability through EDGE sprints for seniors and freshman grade sheet tracking to make sure that our students are constantly being monitored and they're being plugged into different support as needed. Department chairs and administrators engage in non-evaluative classroom walkthroughs to make sure that they're taking a look at all these very strong instructional strategies and they can utilize that for future collaboration. Sam Yeddo, they're working on their mastery learning system anchored in proficiency skills. Every course, all of their lessons are really based on proficiency skills, which really does show the students what is necessary in order to master a standard. And so it's not a secret. It's not anything that they can't attain because they see that in front of them what the expectations are. So I really do want to thank our teachers that are really leaning into this process, leaning into the teacher learning collaboration or TLC time, because whatever data they're looking at, if they're taking a look at it and they're planning around it, it is high quality conversations and ones that will change instruction for our students for the better. Another data point that you may not realize, trustees, is that we take a look at our attendance, our expulsion, and our suspension data weekly. Our Student Services Department crunches this data, and what we end up doing is taking a look at it week by week, whether or not we're ahead of where we were a year ago, whether or not we're behind when compared to a year ago, but we also take a look at our different student groups. Focusing on truancy is not a compliance activity in our district. It's really an academic strategy, because attendance improvement is unique because it really does show a return on investment in any of the initiatives that we're doing in the classroom. Improving attendance affects how much better they do in reading or math. You don't have to focus on one content or one course or one instructional strategy. So making sure our students are in school along with our teachers, who also I want in school, this is what really just improves things for our entire district. And there's certain activities within attendance that are high impact and low effort. Reaching out to families to celebrate that their child is coming to school more, making sure that the students are being greeted during the day, positive attendance campaigns like we've done in the past. Other things that are more high impact, high effort would be hiring a whole bunch of staff members in order to support our students, but we can make these little tweaks that actually do show improvements in our numbers, just being conscious of it each and every day. Professional learning is something that is absolutely also part, oh, actually, did I skip a slide? No, I did not. Professional learning is something that when we are supporting our staff, we want to make sure we retain them. And part of that is to make sure that they are constantly in a learning cycle. Our Spark, which were all of these fantastic summer sessions, teaching teachers during the summer, had a participation of 250 individuals. Building Thinking Classrooms, which is that bottom picture of really utilizing vertical spaces in order to really engage in mathematical practice and instruction. 50 individuals that were trained, and we had 100%, I think minus one or two, of our kindergarten through second grade teachers go through our M-Class training, which really discusses about how we're screening for reading difficulties, but most important, how are you going to group kids together to have really direct instruction so then they can build those critical foundational literacy skills so then they don't fall behind as they end up going up through the grades. And I just wanted to share a couple quotes here and highlight the fact that later on in our agenda and our reports, we do have a professional development report which provides more details. Vacancy update. Just we're very, very pleased to share these numbers with you, and also thank you, our communication team, to highlight some of our phenomenal employees on our website. This is Kat Clark that keeps this building that you're in running, so I really do want to recognize her this evening. Last year at this time, we had about the same number of elementary positions vacant, but we had 4 secondary, now we have 1. We had 12 special education openings last year, and now we have 3. We had 3 psychologists, and now we have 1.5. So all of this work and the ambassadors that our employees are going out into the community, encouraging people to come and work for our district, talking to former students, having them come back to us, I think it's really showing some positive results. You know, I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize the fact that we did have a significant and very dangerous safety situation over at Fairfield High School this week. And I really do want to compliment and extend my gratitude to law enforcement as well as the administrators and the whole entire staff at Fairfield High School. We did not have injuries, but it was a scary thing. We do have safety measures all over our district, but it's not something that we should not always review and take a look at. We've had a little bit of an uptick based on the reports I'm getting of students, reporting threats, comments, or gossip, or rumors that they're hearing that we take on every single time in a very thoughtful, very direct, and very proactive way. But again, making sure that folks are very clear that if they see something, hear something, they need to say something. And there's many different ways of doing that. A trusted adult, a parent, or even our Stop It app, which is an anonymous reporting system. Some students are not comfortable sharing it themselves and outing that they're the ones sharing it, but we do have ways in order for the reports to happen. Want to make sure that folks understand we have mandated drills, we have comprehensive school safety plans. People are supposed to check in when they come to the office. That's not because we're mean, it's because we want to make sure that we are very clear about the individuals that are going to engage with our young people or even here at the district office. Communication protocols, making sure our messaging is tight, that we're communicating as quickly and as effectively as possible. Sometimes it's going to take a minute because we want to make sure what we're putting out there is correct. So sometimes there's less information than what we'd hope. Sometimes we're able to collect what we need. But we appreciate everybody's patience while we're trying to get that out. And then, of course, partnering with our parents and community. Reposting is not the same as reporting. So we do appreciate everybody that does bring it to the school's attention instead of utilizing social media as their main communication vehicle. On to our school climate and culture goal. We've got a B. Gail Wilson grand opening coming up October 8th at our B. Gail Wilson Middle School. And this actually picture does not do it justice. The place looks even more amazing than what this picture is showing. So we're having an official ribbon cutting for this wonderful gymnasium that these middle schoolers have been without. And so we're very excited to be able to celebrate that in community. And thank you, Trustee Wilson, who will be saying a few words on behalf of the board and behalf of the Wilson family. So we're excited to take a look, or to be there on the 8th. Parent and community engagement, it's expanding, it's growing. I did for the first time this year, I sent out a welcome back video that I hope all of our staff members had the opportunity to see. I included it also in our Friday letter and a community newsletter that went out. We're just trying new things, such as a monthly newsletter. Our first one went out, Lighting the Way, a newsletter for FSUSD families. We've been working together with our communication department as well as our different teams to say what would be really important and meaningful for our families to hear about. So we're going to shoot for that for the first week of each month. So that'll be out there. Recognizing our SAME department, our Student Access and Multilingual Education Department, who's been hosting some EL parent meetings, making sure that we are getting in front of our multilingual families and parents, sharing with them about what they need to know about seal of biliteracy, how our students can be biliterate, bicultural, bilingual, what the goals are for the department, which are very, very targeted. Increase reclassification, increase the number of students getting the seal of biliteracy, and increasing our parent and family involvement. And so they are continuing working on that. And then the picture below is our Solano County Library Foundation tutoring that's happening at Grange. And sometimes a little bit complicated to get these things off the ground, but I was really excited to get this picture showing that some of our students are getting tutoring and reading on the campus after school. Upcoming events. It is very busy around our district. We've got our Super SAC meeting, which is our student leadership meeting next week. Good Day Sacramento is starting off at 7 a.m. early on the 26th. This is actually our second or third time having Good Day Sacramento in our district, with our students are saying good morning to everybody. Area 7 applications for our board vacancy on October 3rd. National Night Out that I'm really encouraging folks to engage in. We get a schedule from our, I believe it's our Fairfield Police Department for Fairfield, that provides us all sorts of different areas, maybe it's from the city, that we can go to in order to engage with our community. We have a parent leader meeting on the 8th, B. Gail Wilson on the 8th. Our special board meeting to interview and appoint our new trustee will be on the 9th. We've got our Inspire event where our young people are going to be together in order to really imagine what their future careers and opportunities might be. School administrator, amazing administrator week is the 13th through the 17th, and then we do have a school holiday, even though the district will be working on October 13th. So a lot going on. Really wanted to make sure everyone is aware. We have information about the different events on our website. And again, I truly do appreciate all of the engagement from our trustees. I know us filling this vacancy, it feels like it's light speed, but I have absolutely no doubt we've got some wonderful quality candidates that are going to be submitting their paperwork between now and the 3rd. And again, I appreciate the time this evening to provide an update. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Superintendent. Looking forward to all those exciting upcoming events, and thank you again, Mr. Wilson, and what an honor it is for you to represent your dad at the opening groundbreaking ribbon cutting at B. Gail Wilson. I'd like to welcome Director Student, a recognition of the invaluable contributors to the Back to School Resource Fair. Director of Student and Family Services, Liz Teresa, you have the
Thank you so much. I'm actually here supporting Jessica Reed in this. This says her heart and soul is into this. And so I am here in place of her because she cannot be. But I just want to say good evening to Board President Patero, members of the board, and Superintendent Sachs. As you know, I'm Liz Teresi, the Director of Student Family Services. So we are so excited to share the highlights of this year's Back to School Resource Fair. This year we held it under the theme of Supplies Today, Success Tomorrow. Every year this event is made possible through the generosity of our donors, volunteers, and community partners who dedicate their time, resources, and services to ensure our students start the school year with some essentials, confidence, and support. This year, the fair served more than 2,000 of our families. We provided 1,900 backpacks filled with school supplies, all brand new, 125 vaccines, 80 vision screenings, 60 free haircuts, and many other resources provided by the 65 exhibitors who attended. This evening, we'd like to formally recognize a few of our supporters that went over and beyond, and we'll start with St. Mark's Lutheran Church. So St. Mark's Lutheran Church has actually been the church that has supported this event since, I want to say, the late 1980s. That number may be a little bit off, but you've always been a great support, and we really appreciate you. And then we have our Fairfield Police Department. Fairfield Police Department has They've donated the lunch items, secured raffle prizes. They've held, the homeless intervention team comes out with the youth services division, and they raffle off things like bikes, helmets, scooters. They provide a lot of the refreshments that we give out to the volunteers, so thank you so much. Yeah. And then I'm not sure if we have a representative from the Fairfield Professional Firefighters Association, but they are right there with us also, and they really help serve and prepare the food right alongside the police department. And this year they sponsored the foam party, which I wasn't actually at the event, but I heard it was crazy fun. So Jessica says, yes, if you want to see pure joy, watch 200 kids in a foam pit. And then we have Valley Strong Credit Union, who were a financial donor and exhibitor. We have 2 barbershops this year. We had the Platinum Fades and Uptown Barbershop, and they provided those professional haircuts. And one student said, I don't even recognize myself. I look too fresh for 7th grade. And then we have the Wells Calls Injury Lawyers, who are financial donors and an exhibitor. And DJ Mel Events made the trip from Sassoon City to support the fair, and he kept the energy high with music. And thanks to him, we had parents, staff, and even a few of our board members out there dancing, I hear. So through these collective efforts, students and families received vital resources and felt the strength of the community that shows up for them. Thank you for supporting our Back to School Resource Fair and for sharing our commitment to student success and well-being. And together, we showed that school spirit begins before the first bell rings. Thank you.
Congratulations to our honorees, and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for hanging out with us, and thank you so much for that wonderful event. I got a little bit of foam in my, too, and I got some dancing in, so thank you very much. Our next item is item 5, public comment. This is an opportunity for members of the public to make speeches not to exceed 3 minutes on items that are not on the agenda, but are also within the subject matter jurisdiction of this board. All comments will be taken into consideration by the board, the superintendent, and the staff. If you have not yet completed one of these green sheets of paper for a public comment, please do so and hand them to my right and your left to Ms. Gray or Ms. Summers. Are there any public comments, Madam Clerk?
We haven't received any public comments regarding the open part of the agenda.
Thank you very much. Well, on to our consent calendar. Are there any items to be pulled from the consent calendar? No items to be pulled. May we have a motion, please?
Move approval.
Thank you, Mr. Flynn. May I have-
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Hunley. All in favor, Ms. Polk?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? No, that passes. That's it for consent calendar. Now we're moving on to action item 11, educational services. Last month, we received a presentation regarding the instructional materials, so therefore this week, on item 11A, there is going to be a public hearing regarding the approval of resolution number 112526, certification to provide sufficient instructional materials for core areas. There's no presentation. Are there any public comments? Oh, sorry, public hearing is open. Are there any public comments?
None, and you're not required to give them when it's a public hearing, but we have received them.
Oh, gosh, okay, cool. So there is no comments, so we move on, right? Public hearing is closed. There we go. Gavel. On to item 11B, review and potential approval of resolution number 112526, certification to provide sufficient instructional materials for core areas and certification of standards Alliance instructional materials. There's no presentation. There are no public speakers. May we have a motion, please?
Move approval.
Thank you, Mr. Flynn. Second, thank you, Dr. Hunley. May we have a vote, Ms. Polk?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Yes, ma'am.
We had a public hearing, vote on the resolution attached to that?
We just did. Oh, public hearing?
Yeah.
We closed that. We just did that. Item B.
Oh, that was, yeah,
That was item B.
okay.
Yeah.
That was-
And yeah, and there was no discussion. And Mr.
I was seeing action item resolution, and I got it.
Yeah, got it? That's all right.
I'm caught up.
That's cool. And this is all new, so that's totally awesome.
New format, you
Yes,
guys, okay? I'm not used to the new.
Yes, and for everybody to read too, yeah. So that's why we're going in snail speed. Okay, at snail speed. Are we good for the next one? Okay, action item 12, business services, A. 12A, review and potential approval of unaudited actuals financial statement for the 24-25 fiscal year. And do we have any public comments?
None have been received.
None have been received. Director of Fiscal Services, Ms. Amanda Reese, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good evening, Board President Patero, Governing Board, and Superintendent Sachs. It is my pleasure to present for your review and potential approval our unaudited actuals financial statement for 2024 and the 2025 fiscal year. Here is a visual of our financial cycle. We are pointing towards September unaudited actuals, which is the final financial activity for July 1, 2024 through June 30, 2025. So let's go over how we ended the year. On the unrestricted side of the general fund, we ended the year with revenues of $263.6 million, expenses of $195.4 million, other sources and uses, which is usually made up of contributions to the restricted side of the budget, of $50.5 million, giving us an unrestricted general fund balance as of June 30 of $56.7 million. So here is a list of what our unrestricted general fund balance consists of. We have our routine non-spendable reserves, vacation and insurance liabilities, unrestricted grants that weren't fully spent, and carryover for items that didn't arrive or projects that weren't completed by June 30, giving us an undesignated, unrestricted fund balance of $23.4 million. On the restricted side of the general fund, we ended the year with revenues of $58.5 million, expenses of $117.3 million, other sources and uses of $54.6 million, and these are the contributions from the unrestricted side of the budget, providing us a decrease in fund balance of $4.2 million, allowing us to end the year with a restricted general fund balance of $55.3 million. Listed here is a summary of the ending balances in our restricted funding. The highlighted funds are one-time resources. The lines highlighted in yellow and blue are supporting current positions and are scheduled to expire in June of 2026 and June of 2028. These restricted one-time dollars have been a significant driver of the growth to our unrestricted fund balance. This slide is a one-page recap of all the funds that make up our school district budget, and I'm always pleased to point out the far right column, all funds are ending with a positive ending fund balance. So to summarize, our unrestricted ending fund balance did change. We leveraged the high volume of one-time funds to free up the unrestricted side of the budget. We received increases to our unrestricted revenue, and there was a slowdown of spending. Tonight's report is how we ended the 2024-25 fiscal year. Our ending fund balance does not include the 3.5% compensation to all staff that began on July 1st for the 2025-26 fiscal year. Our next steps, as federal funding remains a fluid area, our team is proactively tracking all legislative updates to ensure our budget reflects the most current revenue information. In October, we will receive the official enrollment and unduplicated student counts, and we will continue to manage and adjust the budgets throughout the year to adapt to any and all changes. That concludes my presentation. I turn it over to Board President Patero.
May we have a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Thank you, Mr. Flynn. May we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Dr. Tilley. May we have any discussion?
If I may add just one thing, the last communication that I read today about our federal budgets, that there's a lot of conversation, and the concern is that it could be cut up to 20%. And that's going into next year. So we're watching that extremely carefully because they're supposed to be making some decision over the next couple weeks. And then if it gets extended out, that funding is something that we do build into the budget as we go into very quickly into our next budget cycle. So as the 3.5 is not included, this is everything as of the June 30th, but that federal reserve number is very concerning. And I know a lot of districts are advocating and trying to talk to their legislators in order to see what kind of support they can receive, but it is something that I think should be highlighted, that it is something that is very uncertain at this moment in time.
Dr. Tilley?
Thank you, Board President Carroll. I also read with interest that the cost for the health insurance premiums for our employees are going to be going up 13.5% in a year. So it's a little bit terrifying in terms of looking at that unrestricted fund balance together with the instability with the federal fund side of it. And
I was also thinking about the potential impact on revenue for coming up next year because our governor decided to, to extend taxes for those who were involved in the fire in LA. So that's going to have some kind of an impact on our budget next year as well, since the majority of our budget does come from the state, yeah? Yeeks. Good luck, Linnea. Start looking in your couch. Okay. And any more discussion? No more discussion? May we have a vote, Ms. Polk?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Cool. Moving on to item 12B, review and potential approval of resolution number 12-2526, adoption of the GAN limit. There's no presentation. Are there any public speakers?
no, Madam President, our next public speaker is at 15B.
Okay, 15. Okay, let me hold on to that. There are no public speakers or no presentation. May we have a vote, please? Oh, yeah, may we have
Move
discussion?
approval.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Tilley. May we? Thank you, Mr. Flynn. Is there any discussion? No discussion. May we have a vote, Ms. Polk?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Cool. Any opposed? Cool. We're good? Ready to go move on to item C? Okay. Item 12C, review and potential approval of award of bid 225826 materials and equipment for arts and music round 4 to BAC Musical Instruments, Gordon's Music and Sound Incorporated, Discount School Supply, and School Supply Specialty LLC. There's no presentation. There are no public speakers. May we have a motion, please?
Move to approve?
Thank you, Dr. Hunley. Second, Dr. Tilly. Is there any discussion? No discussion. May we have a vote, Ms. Polk?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nope. Item 12C passes. Not unanimously. Good. Item 12D, review and potential award of potential award RFQP 225926 Mathematics Improvement and Connect ED. No presentation. There are no public speakers. May we have a motion, please? Thank you, Mr. Flynn. May we have a second?
Second with pleasure.
Thank you, Dr. Hunley. Dr. Tilly, is there any discussion? No discussion. May we have a vote, Ms. Polk?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposition, good. Action item 13, Human Resources. Item 13A, review and potential approval of resolution number 252526 proclaiming October 12th to the 18th, 2025 as a week of the school administrator in the Fairfield-Sassoon Unified School District. There are no public speakers. Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, Mr. Whittemore, you have the floor, sir.
Good evening, Superintendent Sachs, Board President Patero, governing board members. Tonight I stand before you to recommend the passage of Resolution 252626 to honor the administrative staff of the Fairfield-Sassoon Unified School District during the week of October 12th through the 18th as the week of the school administrator. This resolution goes beyond symbolic appreciation that we share for the people in our administrative positions that serve our students every day. We are genuinely fortunate to have quality individuals that serve in many administrative roles to make each day purposeful in educating our students. These leaders, both classified and certificated, put in extraordinary effort, countless hours to make sure the young people of Fairfield and Sassoon communities are taken care of. Quite frankly, they all care. We are blessed to have these leaders we have in the district, and I ask for your favorable recognition of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whittemore. May we have a motion, please?
Move approval?
Thank you, Mr.
Second.
Flynn. Second, Dr. Tilly. Any discussion?
Just to say that it is amazing, especially when you have activities like we've had this week at our school sites, to have the quality of administrators that we have. And they deserve to be honored, just as we love to honor our teachers and our certificate or classified employees and stuff. And I, for one, will try to think of nice things to do for, hug an administrator, you guys, if you see one, okay?
Absolutely.
I support this motion.
See's candy goes a long way. Let me see. Also, yes. And you know what? Remember, think about all the newsletters we get, the weekly newsletters we get from each of us principals. They're so thorough, right? And everything we get from the district, they pass on to the parents, and they have all these parents. Of course, you would agree, Ms. Polk, right? Just reading them all, I get so excited, and I just check off which activities I'm going to go to. Sassoon Elementary, they always have the back music night, and they have it on the grass, and they have music playing, and the children perform. It's so wonderful. And I think we have adapted PE coming up. So fun to go watch them all. So thank you to all the principals for all of your awesome newsletters. I love the Semieto one. I get this big, what do you call it, polar bear in my face every day. And even though I'm not assigned to Rodriguez High School, thank you, Principal Cherry, for including me, because next Rodriguez game, I'm going to be there, even though they lost to Fairfield last weekend, right? All right, cool. All right, way to go. Way to go, Fairfield. Okay, we had a motion, we had discussion. May we have a vote, Ms. Polk? Aye. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, and thank you to all of our administrators. Moving on to item 13B. That's where we are right now, right? Review and potential approval of resolution number 192526, authorizing employment of instructors to teach on a provisional internship permit. There are no public speakers. May we have a motion, please?
Approval.
Thank you, Dr. Tilly. May we have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Flynn. Is there any discussion? No discussion. May we have a vote, Ms. Polk?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, no opposed. Good. All right. 13C, review and potential approval of resolution number 2025-26, authorizing employment on a variable term waiver. There are no presentations. There are no public speakers. May we have a motion, please?
Approval.
Thank you, Dr. Tilly. May I have a second? I'll second. Any discussion? No discussion? All in favor, Ms. Polk?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Any opposed? None. Moving on to action item 13D, review and potential approval of resolution number 262526, authorizing a speech-language pathologist to provide services based on a local assignment option. There are no presentation. There are no public speakers. May we have a motion, please?
Move approval?
Thank you, Mr. Flynn. May we have a second?
Second.
Second, Dr. Tilly. Is there Dr. Hunley, any discussion? No discussion. May we have a vote, Ms. Polk?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. That passes. Action item 14, A, review and potential approval of the revised governance handbook, and there are no public speakers. Vice President, Mr. Flynn, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you. Over a 7-month process that included 4 meetings of the board's governance committee, I am happy tonight as governance chair to bring forward for approval the revised governance handbook. The committee spent significant time workshopping and revising the handbook and is pleased to present a unanimous recommendation to approve the revisions. Therefore, I move approval of the committee's recommendation. Second.
Discussion, please.
Yeah,
Dr. Tilly.
thank you. Number one, thanks to the board for deferring this until I could be present at the meeting to discuss just a few changes that I think we should talk about. I also want to thank the committee as well as the board. Much of the work that went into the work to the governance handbook was a result of the board's retreats, and now we have a different student board member. We have a promoted member to the Solano County Office of Education, and here we are trying to lay this thing to rest. I had originally thought, well, maybe we should defer it again because there's only 5 members here tonight, 3 of whom sit on the committee. But you know what? I really trust you guys, and I'm hoping that the questions that we asked will have answers. So if it's okay, I'm going to go to the concerns that were referenced as attachments to the agenda and ask, by line item, by question, what was the committee's thinking in recommending deletion of meetings of the board are held in public but are not public meetings? That is that, so there's a form, you guys, that we have here. And I would like an answer. I don't understand why that is being recommended. It wasn't something that was discussed at the board retreat, and I don't know why that's being suggested.
Since Mr. Flynn is the chair of the committee, I'll have defer to him to respond to the questions. Is that okay?
I would expect the committee has had an opinion about this.
Or the committee.
I've read all of the minutes. I've looked at all of the work of the committee, and I'm happy with that. I'm not understanding why we wouldn't clarify to the community that we serve that this is a meeting of the board in public. I know we want to have a friendlier approach, and I support that wholeheartedly. At the same time, by law, it's our job to talk to each other and to, unless we want to call a town hall meeting or a special meeting, and then that runs under a different format. So it's always served as a really good reminder to me, and I'm not sure, for future board members or for new board members, whether they would like that reminder. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just dense.
I can actually answer that question. That was my decision. And the decision was because this is a meeting of the board in public. We don't have to remind the public of that, right? Because this is our meeting. And I've researched other school board meetings and other city council meetings and the like, and we were the only board that made that comment. And I would say this last year, we haven't had an issue. And I always thought when we remind the public, when they're here, and we say, this is a meeting of the board in public, not a public meeting, it creates a distance between us. And I want to be inclusive because we do have an opportunity for public comments. And I thought if we treat each other with value and we give people the benefit of the doubt, right? I'm pretty laissez-faire. And so I think if we open it up, and if there is an issue, we can address that. But I haven't seen it so far, and I don't anticipate. And I think if we operate the way we have been, and we become inclusive, and we do treat people like we value them, I don't think we need to say that. Because we haven't had to say that in the last 8 months. I think we have been quite professional and courteous to one another on the dais. And so that was my decision at the very beginning, and I didn't think it was necessary, and I don't think it's necessary now. Yes?
And I totally agree with you, but that's not what this is. This is the governance handbook. So this is not a mandate on how you want to run the meeting. This is a reminder to the board of its relationships. So I can withdraw that. Thank you. I appreciate the answer.
Thank you very much. And also, I was just thinking, no, I just wanted to clarify on that. We're all professionals, right? And we're all experts in our respective fields, and that's another reason why I wanted to bring that, right? Because I respect every one of us, and we respect each other. And I thought, this is cool. I can dig it. We can dig it, and we're doing it fine. So go on to the next one. Thank you so much.
My next concern was on question 4.4. What was the rationale for mandating that the board president complete a master's in governance course? And I do oppose that for the reasons stated. I'm wondering why it is that we would impose that on our newly elected board members, or even seasoned board members who have not chosen to spend district money obtaining a master's degree after they've done the training at CSBA, for example, for years. So I'm wondering about that requirement and whether, I guess that's the question. My motion is to delete that new requirement for .A.V from the governance handbook, to more language later that I'll reference, that we all want to work on our professional development. I fully support CSBA, but I wasn't elected to this board because I agreed to get a master's in governance. This is my third term. And I don't think the public expects that for leadership on the board that you have to have a master's in governance. And I don't think that I want to take students' funds and pay for my master's in governance. And had we had this in effect, I know it's going to be in the future, so the board members can quickly get that criterion, whether they want it or not, whether they need it or not, in order to check a box. Feels to me to be a waste of time and money, number one. Number two, you wouldn't be sitting in this seat had this requirement been in there. So I really oppose this very strongly. And I would ask that I am actually going to move to delete that new requirement for AV from the governance handbook. Do I have a second?
Point of order. Point of order. We have a, no, point of order.
Hang on.
Second the motion.
We have a point of order. We have a motion on the floor.
Hang on.
You second my motion?
I'll listen to your point of order. What was your point of order, sir?
We have a motion on the floor that was seconded by Board Member Hunley. It's not appropriate to have a second motion without voting on the first motion. So what I would like to do, since we are still on discussion for the first motion, is be given the opportunity to respond to what Board Member Tilley said and figure something out. But I don't think that now is the appropriate time for a motion.
I agree. We're still having discussion, and then we can, at the end of the discussion, we can make, and say we want to remove these and then have a motion on that final part of it, right?
Did you guys want to have
I would-
discussion on that point, right?
From this one, I think he can, we're removing the motion, right? So we still continue.
The motion's been
Withdrawn.
The motion
Okay,
has been
cool.
withdrawn because Vice President Flynn's point of order
Right. And your
is
point of order is
correct.
well taken.
So, yeah, it's
And
correct.
so let's continue with the
now we're in
discussion.
discussion.
And Mr. Flynn, would you like to respond to that? Because I agree with Dr. Tilley.
The committee, including all three members, did vote unanimously for that change. However, I am open to revisions. I'd like to clarify a couple misconceptions on this. First of all, there is no requirement to obtain a master's degree. That's number one. Number two, the Brown Act rules are supreme. This is not a legal mandate, and nothing in the governance handbook is a legal mandate. So this is a suggestion, and maybe we could all, and also we have a governance meeting next week. We have another one in November before revising the handbook. We also have the annual adoption of the handbook in December. We have many opportunities to revise this. So maybe one revision I'd be open to is candidates for board officer are encouraged to take the master's in governance course. But I did want to clarify, there's no requirement for a master's degree. It is a 5-day training. It's not a 2 years master's degree. Number two is the piece regarding it's not a legal mandate. If someone were to run for board president, they could absolutely make a motion or have a second or have a vote. It's just encouraging that if someone wants to run for this, it is a helpful resource. So that's the intent. It was unanimously recommended by committee to be a helpful resource.
May I ask a follow-up question? Why?
Well, I think that being board president, there's a lot of decisions, there's a lot of ways to work with people, and what the MIG 5-day course offers is tips, opportunities for success, opportunities for networking. So I do think that if you're running for board president or any board officer, you should take that. That's just my personal opinion. But again, it's just an encouragement. There's no legal binding. You're not going to be censured or removed from the board or any sort of action if you don't do it. It's just about giving opportunities for professional development.
Does anybody have any more discussion?
I have more, but not on this point.
Okay.
Moving right along. Thank you. It does say that they must complete, so it's a mandate in our governance handbook, which would become a norm if approved. So I oppose the approval of the handbook on that basis, although I thank you and appreciate Board Member Flynn, the revisions that may be coming, Okay, so the next one, I think, let me look. All right, the next one was just reorganizing the order of items on the board meeting agenda. That would be item Roman numeral 5D as in doggy. And my question was, what is the committee's thinking in moving communications forward on the agenda? Is there a rationale for suggesting this change? And who does it serve?
Okay. So again, it was recommended by the committee. What we are doing some was restoring to the previous practices of the governing board, where all the reports were at the beginning of the meeting. There was a decision that I opposed in 2023 to take the student board members' reports and the employee organization report and move them to the end of the meeting. I opposed that change because I think it sends a message that we don't value you. What this does is a compromise. There's also a concern that was mentioned I don't agree with, but I did recognize, which is that, when we have the student recognitions, we want to be efficient. So what this does is we have the superintendent's report and any board president comments, the recognitions of students and community members, then we do the student board member and the employee organization reports, then do public comment, and continue with the business of the board. It brings it back up to the front of the meeting. It sends a message that we value them, but it still addresses that concern. So it was a fair compromise recommended by committee.
Do you want to follow up on that one?
No, thank you for
Okay.
asking. Thank you for your answer. I
I
appreciate it.
agree with that too, because it used to be, right, at the very beginning. I think student board member reports at the very beginning is also helpful because we have students here for recognition. I think that's really important. And also, and also with all of our labor partners, I think it's important for them to have, and for the parents who are here too, to know what's going on with their labor partners. So I think that's a wonderful idea, I think, right? And also their teachers. I think our CSEA, whoever the representatives are, they have to work the next day too, right? And they have to deal, I'm sure Ms. Williamson has 150 emails by the time she gets home on Thursday night, and then has to answer them on Friday mornings. And so I think that'd be nice. I think it'd be nice to hear them as well. And when the public is watching our YouTube videos on our presentations, I think it'd be nice to have them at the very beginning so they don't have to scroll all the way past them and then get all the business done after, yeah? So I think that was a nice.
Yeah, I understand your position. I disagree with it on many levels. I don't like I don't like being lobbied during the public or during the communications regarding my potential vote on issues that are coming up. I understand that people are tired and they want to go home. So do I. I'm here for the whole board meeting. And if you have input on a specific issue, I want to hear from you. It is not that I don't value our partners. By the way, I have no problem in advancing the student board members report if you want to do that. My problem is that when you provide an amplified soapbox for people, especially when times are tough, when times are good, it's easy. When negotiations are being talked about as the very first thing after our student recognitions and threats are being made, that's not the current administration, but it has happened in the past, or when someone is trying to achieve an outcome, using our meeting as a soapbox for that position, I resent that. So that is the reason that I had a problem with moving those communications back up. It's true that this board does not have that problem. I would never suggest that. But we're not the only board. And if it's, otherwise we have to come look at it every time. Or when it becomes a problem, then we've got to go back and revisit the handbook, okay? So I do understand that and I appreciate it. I just don't share that opinion. I will still be voting against the handbook, but only because of the change regarding the masters in governance, okay? So thank you for that, yes.
Mr. Wilson and Mr. Flynn.
I mirror Board Member Tilley's comments, and I'd be happy to repeat the objection I had during the subcommittee. Employee groups, they have their meetings, we have our meetings. It's not our place to give them a privileged position. They have all the privileges that the members of the public have. If they want to give us a privileged position at the beginning of their agendas on their formal business meetings, then we can reciprocate. But I don't see the rationale for them having a privileged position with a 5-minute time limit at the beginning of our meetings or in our meetings at all. When we last considered this at Il Fiorello, I proposed removing it entirely. They don't need a privileged position in our business meeting. They have the privileges that every public member has. Their soapbox just like everyone, and they can use that generously. They can have multiple speakers for whatever topic. That I don't think it has a place on our agenda. But again, if they want to do reciprocal privileges, I could be open to that. But I object to, during the committee, I objected to that provision, and I object to it now also. Thank you.
So I think it's important that we value our teachers, classified employees, administrators, and send a message of value to them. And I think that's important. Look, it does not take a significant amount of time on the board agenda, and it's already on the board agenda, so it's just deciding when do we hear it. It does not add duration to the board meeting. It's sending a message that we value you, we want to include you, and we want to genuinely hear your perspectives and ideas as we make decisions, just as we do with many other community groups and the student board members. So I think it's about being inclusive, being equitable, and making sure that people feel valued.
Thank you.
Wait, hang on, we still have some discussion, Dr. Hunley.
Thank you. No, I would concur on the importance of making people feel valued. And also, my understanding is this was the precedent just prior to very recently, and that we did hear from 4 years. Okay. But that we do have the ability to review this handbook every year. So if there is a problem, we can look at it then, is my understanding, correct? Thank you.
Any other discussion, Ms. Polk? The reason why I agree with moving it to the front is whether they're going to be on their soapbox at the beginning or at the end, they're still going to be on the soapbox, right? Whatever message, wherever we move them, they're going to say the same message. And if we're going to be egalitarian and honor everybody who's in this district, the district office, us, our administrators, and our faculty, and our labor partners. Our own superintendent said she would like to work with our labor partners. And if she'd like to work with our labor partners, and she is working with our labor partners, I think the least we can do is to hear them as well, right? Because we represent everybody. And I'd like to hear it at the beginning. It used to be in the beginning. And like Mr. Flynn, I objected to it moving to the back of the agenda. And I'll tell you, our former board members said, well, we're going to move it to the back. This is their rationale. Because then they can have a certain amount of time. The time never changed. And I wrote an op-ed about this in the Daily Republic. And when they confronted our former president, the reporter said, I felt bullied by that person for just asking the question. So I think if we're going to be egalitarian and we're going to be inclusive, I think it is important that the public gets to hear, and when they're here, have an opportunity to listen to them at the very beginning, so that it goes in order, right? Recognition, 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 board reports, that's done. then we can get to the business. I think that's only fair. I think it's egalitarian. And what does it matter? Like I said, what Pam Williamson or whoever the president is, or whoever CSEA, their speaker, if they speak at the very beginning or they speak at the very end, they're going to be speaking and they're going to say what they're going to say, and it's going to be on YouTube. And I prefer that they do it at the very beginning. I think that's just only fair. We can do that, right? Should we move on to your next one?
I hear you. May I move on? Thank you. So at item 10AD, well, the committee is recommending that we delete that the board shall focus on student learning and student achievement. I find that amazing that we would delete that from our primary norm. That's why we're all here. So I'm wondering about that. I'm also wondering why it is that we would be getting rid of, let's see, so that was A. D is understand that the authority rests with the board as a whole and not with individual board members, a very important reminder. Recognizes that decisions are made only at properly noticed and scheduled meetings. This is straight out of Ed Code, you guys. This is law. And govern within board-adopted policies and procedures. I cannot agree to a handbook that doesn't keep those minimum requirements of governance standards, replacing them instead with a master's in governance to be an officer. I'm also I do see that there was an attempt to add kind of, some of them, not really, add them back in other sections, but I'm not seeing them there. I was also concerned about, and these, of course, were not discussed at the board retreat, and therefore surprising. G was a problem. G is, no, that's to understand the board decisions are binding. So and then also they were deleting, or you're suggesting, the committee's suggesting that we delete the requirement that board members participate in professional development by committing the time and energy necessary to be an informed and effective board member. Now, you can't have it both ways. You can't both say, well, you can only be a leader if you take a master's in governance course for 5 days, but you don't really have to worry about the Brown Act trainings or the CSBA or any of those other areas for enrichment and opportunity that we attain. We attend those annually. So I really am quite puzzled by these, and I really cannot support a handbook that recommends these deletions. Help me.
Okay, so again, it was unanimously recommended by committee. It was not, so there were several pieces that were deleted because they were in other parts of the handbook. So the idea was, to cut down on places that were repeats. Of course I value student learning and achievement. Of course I value professional development, but there are other places in the handbook that do that. There are also other places that are in Ed Code, that are in other places that are board policies. So one of the intents was to take from the retreat something that we had pretty much accepted, which is we want a shorter but more effective handbook. And so that was it. I will also say that if there are 1 or 2 pieces that are holding back approval, I'm willing to make a change. I'm willing to send it to the subcommittee to revise it openly. I'm not completely stuck on this, so if, for say, you want to change a certain piece and we could approve it and move on, I would agree. And I would just say that I think it's important that we approve a revised handbook tonight so that we can get back to focusing on student learning and achievement, which is, I think, well, again, it's in other parts of the handbook, as I just said. Okay, I have the floor, thank you. So I think that's important to do that, but again, if that's the one thing holding you up, that A part, I'm very open to restoring that, even though it's in other parts of the handbook, and it was unanimously recommended.
Mr. Wilson?
During the subcommittee meetings, I was one of the 3 board members on the committee. I objected then, and I object now to the scope of these changes, but I was outvoted. I propose that we limit changes to 1 section at a time, especially since the entire board spent 2 retreats, each 3 hours, discussing, exploring, debating some of these topics. Most of these were not even considered by the board, and it's just too much. And so I'm not planning on support the revised handbook as we've received it. Thank you.
Dr. Hunley? Dr. Hunley?
Okay, a couple of items. First of all, a point of clarification. My understanding is that the superintendent sent out on behalf of the governance chair 2 months ago the opportunity to ask questions regarding this governance handbook. I just want to clarify, because I do feel it is important that we actually complete this process so that we can get back to our actual jobs. And then my next question is, or not question really, point of clarification. My understanding at the governance subcommittee meetings is that everyone was interested in sort of streamlining the handbook. And that's why so many of our votes in there were in fact unanimous. So I'm a little confused about the situation right now. Thank you.
Thank you. And to respond to Board Member Hunley's point of clarification, with the exception of one vote, every single vote was unanimous. So there was one vote, and it was what we already discussed, which was the changing of the board meeting agenda items. So on that specific point, every board member did vote in favor at the committee level, and there was ample time at the committee level to discuss and workshop those concerns, which we did. So again, every board member did vote in favor at the committee level at the time, and the minutes do reflect that.
Are we moving on? Did you have to, are you going to object to this? Oh, Mr. Wilson? Oh. Mr. Wilson, you have the floor, and then we move on to Dr. Hunley and Tilly for the rest of the handbook.
I disagree with Board Member Flynn. Thank you.
Okay.
So just clarify, it's not a matter of agreeing or disagreeing. The minutes reflect that. And also, if there was a concern about the minutes, we did approve it in July and August, the minutes. So if there was a concern that the minutes weren't reflective, a board member could have voted against approving the minutes at either of those times. Thank you.
We can go back and refer to the minutes, shall we?
We can. It'll show a unanimous vote.
Okay, Mr. Wilson, what would you like to say?
It's generally my understanding that discussion on a motion is not a debate between members, but since it looks like it is becoming that, I would like to, again, disagree with Board Member Flynn. And if he, again, rebuts my disagreement, I will likely disagree with his rebuttal. But the conduct details of the debate are up to the president. So please guide us in appropriate discussion of the motion.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wilson, and we will refer to the minutes for clarification from the governance minutes for clarification on that discussion on what happened in the governance committee meeting, right? And are we moving on to the next item?
I would like to, I guess.
Yes, go ahead.
I don't know if they're checking minutes, but I don't really want to consume board time with checking minutes. I mean, we have a board member who says,
Just talking,
I didn't
I'm
do
asking,
it.
what I'm asking was if it's reflected in the minutes, and it's reflected in the minutes. I'm just asking you where are we going to next?
Right, exactly. Okay. So, by the way, I just wanted to say, too, that Trustee Hunley, I absolutely agree with you. It was the intent of the committee to streamline. And there's many things in this document that I have not objected to. So, but I don't believe that the items that are claimed to be elsewhere in the document are in the document. I've read it. I've read it multiple times. So, you know, I can't support it if we take out focusing on student achievement, if we take out understanding that the authority that rests with the board. These are basic governance things. I'll keep moving. So one that's, there's two that are really big ones. This is one of the big ones, okay? At item 10A2, the additional board member, president, and vice president agreed to refrain from discussing items with other members so as not to violate the Brown Act. That's being recommended for deletion. That doesn't make sense to me. I think that I was hoping it was error, but I would ask that that mandate continue in order to preserve the integrity of board communications and the public's expectation that backroom deals aren't being made. There's no reason in the world to delete Brown Act language or to empower more than empower a minority of the board to make decisions without consequences under the Brown Act. So I would ask that that come back in.
Yes, and it was a unanimous committee recommendation. What I'll say is that a big piece of this was streamlining. So it does say in the handbook, board business or anything related to the district cannot be discussed by more than 3 individuals. So if there's an, say, and what it's referring to is a piece in there that says, if an additional board member is invited to the agenda, so it's the president, the vice president, and another board member, that's expected that you not violate the Brown Act. Well, it already says that if you have a discussion, you have to limit it to the 3. So it's simply just following the other pieces. In addition, we have a wonderful superintendent who does a good job reminding us and making sure we follow those board policies. So for me, if something's already in the handbook, already in board policies, already in Ed Code, and already in the Brown Act, there's no need for that 5th level. I strongly support keeping the Brown Act. I think that having 5 levels is a bit overkill versus 4 levels. So that's my response.
Okay, thank you.
I have a
It
comment.
misstates the problem, but.
Okay, and I have a comment
and
too.
the section.
I have a comment on that one. We all are required to take the Brown Act training, right? And the Brown Act training tells us exactly what we need to do, so this feels redundant to me. And if the handbook is for us, and we've taken the Brown Act training, we should know what the violations are, right? So to have it in the handbook seems like, okay, here you did this, and here I'm going to slap you in the face with it just in case you don't bloody know what's going on, right? I think we're all adults here. You have to be 18 years old and a citizen of the United States and in the district to be on the board. We had the youngest person in our entire county, 18 years old, graduated from high school in June, ran for board, got on the board in December. He's pretty bloody smart, right? And he is chair of this committee, and he seems to understand the Brown Act. If an 18-year-old who's now 22, 21, congratulations, I'll buy you a beer later, but that, and then if he can understand the Brown Act training, I think all of us can too, right? Here I am thinking, we are adults, right? We're not 12, we're not 13. We don't have to treat each other like children. And if we're on our honor, not the Brown Act, Boy Scouts, right? We're on our honor. If we're on our honor, can we trust that we're going to support this? Like, have there been any violations this year, but people showing up at campuses doing this and that and the other? I don't think we've had that problem. So I think I think we have data here, right, of this year that shows, and the superintendent has dealt with every single one of us, God bless her. But I think we have managed to respect each other as colleagues, as professionals, and the handbook hasn't even been completed. And we've had a pretty decent time here, right? We can all read Ed Code, right? What the handbook refers to is this goes to Ed Code, right? And other parts of the handbook, this goes to board policy. This goes to board bylaws. If we have the board bylaws and we're reading the board bylaws, we have the board policies, we're reading the board policies, and the handbook refers to that, what more do we need? That's 5 more things to read, right? And so that's all we're saying. And I am grateful to the committee for treating us like adults and saying, you know what? It's a given. If you're going to be on the board, if you run for the board and you don't have students in mind, you shouldn't be running for the board. Right? So if you took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of California, which includes education, and you sit on this board, you better be for students. And if we have to remind you in a handbook that we're here to serve our students, then what are we doing here? Right? So I don't think we need language that says you are here for the students. If you are on the education school board, you are obviously here for the students. That's all I'm saying. And
That was the
thing, right?
PowerPoint, and I appreciate it. I share many of your views, by the way, President Bottero. However, the issue before us is whether or not 3 board members in an agenda-setting meeting, which is with the superintendent, to determine what business will come before the 4th. 3rd board member should be reminded that they cannot discuss or lobby other board members or the public in order to achieve it. And quite frankly, You know, if you guys don't want to self-monitor, or if you don't think it's necessary, that's fine, but I'm counting on you, the public, to make sure that these things don't occur, okay? There's a reason that language is there. It's specific in a place where it needs to be. It's the only change I had on that. So that's my position. Oh, this one's a biggie. Section 12B3 through 8. Contrary to the board discussion at the retreat and against Ed Code and the CSBA guidelines, as well as the law, let me find this. It's the employment, it's a PERB violation is what it is. Hold on for a second. The Educational Employment Relations Act governs employer-employee relations and is enforced by PERB, okay? Under that act, both the school district and the employees are obligated to deal with the other's chosen representatives to negotiate matters within the scope of the representation, all right? That does not include board members, and it could subject the district to liability under both a PERB as well as mislead. So what's being asked? What are we being asked to do? We're being asked to delete the prohibition of board members meeting separately with bargaining groups during negotiations, thereby undermining the entire district negotiations team in order to do what? Not really sure, but it breaks about every law in the book. I cannot recommend that we delete. Let me go back to that again. Let's see. They want to delete, board members shall refrain from attending or participating in negotiations. You think? Okay. So I can't support this handbook with that deletion.
So it actually does still say that.
Where?
In order to not undermine the designated negotiator or direction given by the board in closed session during negotiations with any school district contractor, board members will not meet privately with representatives about matters concerning negotiations, but shall refer requests to the superintendent and refrain from attending or participating in negotiations. It says that in there.
I didn't see that.
Right there.
Let's see, not to undermine and direction given by the board, school district will not meet privately with representatives about matters concerning negotiations, but shall refer requests to the superintendent. Okay, I can live with that.
Thank you. Just to clarify what happened, there's basically like 6 or 7 lines about it. It combined it into one. And so basically it combined it, and again, it's not a binding legal document. What it does is it combines language, gives suggestions, and then lets board members make decisions knowing certain implications. So that's my response to that.
Anything else?
All right, yeah, last one. At 8, strike that, 18B. We're eliminating the requirement that we review and reapprove the governance handbook each year. And many of you have referred to the fact that if we have a problem, we can always review it at the December meeting. But if we eliminate that requirement, then I guess we won't. We'll just leave it the way it is, good or bad. So I can't recommend that we delete that. And then take collective responsibility for the board's performance. I can live with that. But the review and approve the governance handbook each year, it's kind of an important thing. I'm sure that the committee was hoping that by annually evaluating its own performance and working together as a team, that would somehow satisfy the requirement of reviewing and reapproving the governance handbook. But the reality is that, especially if you're a new board member and you're looking for your cheat sheet, I mean, the board handbook is basically your secret code to, okay, how do I find this? How do I do that? So I think it's important that the board stay focused on the governance handbook and that the board members, newly elected or experienced, review and approve it annually. And if they don't want to approve it, then they can refer it back to committee for further revisions. But to just delete that requirement from the organizational meeting doesn't seem to serve any time-saving purpose in my mind.
before Mr. Flynn answers, would you be amenable to revising it every 2 years? Because we have elections every 2 years, because then we'll have new board members possibly, and that way those board members can have a say-so, have input. Would you be amenable to that? I mean,
Or,
if
no,
we
I
would refer
don't
that-
think we need a timeline. I think it should be review.
Yes,
I think
but-
at minimum, we should review the governance handbook annually. And it should be, I mean, as part of that review, we should probably, in that review, if we see that there's a problem, we should be able to say, hey, I reviewed it, and I got this problem. So can we send this out for talk? Because I hate to say it, but even though we have elections every 2 years, we've had 3 vacancies on this board that we've had to fill by appointment or whatever over the last 3 years. We have new board members coming in all the time. So I think we need to, I mean, I don't have a problem with reviewing it, but I don't want it deleted. We need to look at the governance handbook annually as a board and then make decisions, in my mind.
Mr. Flynn?
So again, it's in the board policy. It is. So, however, if that's like the one thing that's holding you back, I'm willing to restore that line and just say, you know, I'm not going to live or die on that line. So I'm very open to restoring that line if that's keeping you back.
Ms. Polk, you've had an opportunity to review the handbook and the revisions. Do you have any questions? You digging it at all? Cool.
I'd like to amend my motion, actually. So, considering the feedback, I would like to keep my motion, and if the seconder agrees, however, not include the change regarding removing the reviewing and reapproving the governance handbook each year, to keep that as original, to keep sections A and R in the subsections about keeping the student learning and achievement, and keeping the professional development recommendation. And then on the board president piece, I think if we could just revise the language I think if we could actually not keep the original piece, because I think now that we have the board goals that deal with professional development, I think that that's sufficient, that board members are encouraged to do professional development through CSBA and the board goals, so it doesn't need to be repeated in the handbook. So I think why I'm asking for my motion is take out the piece regarding the requirement to do professional development for B board president, keep A and R, student learning achievement, and the professional development, and keeping the review of the governance handbook every year. And Dr. Hunley, is that something you'd be willing to amend on the motion?
I would support that amendment.
Okay, I think that addresses the concerns.
Mr. Wilson?
So now we're voting on whether or not to amend the motion?
No, the
We,
motion and the seconder agreed.
this is a friendly amendment to the original motion. The original motion was to approve the handbook, right?
Okay.
And then and that was a second. And then we had discussion, and based on the discussion, the mover, Mr. Flynn, would like to amend provide a friendly amendment, right? And that is to remove certain portions and keep other portions, right?
Okay.
He would like to remove the one on board president, to be board president. He'd like to keep all of the other amendments that Dr. Tilley had asked for. Do you have a question?
Point of order, our procedures do not allow or specify friendly amendments. We have motions, seconds, votes. If there's been a motion that we amend the previous motion, we can vote on that motion. But the current motion is amend or not amend, and the entire board would vote on whether or not to amend it. Our procedures don't specify friendly
we just-
amendments get these privileges. Thank you.
Here's what happened. We're now voting, the person who made the motion wanted to amend his motion. The person who seconded the motion said, made a second. And so now we are voting on the amendment to the original motion, which is all of the amendments that Mr. Flynn said, which was what Dr. Tilley had asked for. So now we are voting on, we have an initial person who made the motion, and then we have a second. We're voting now on the amended motion. That becomes now the original motion. That becomes now the new motion, right? And that's what we're going to vote on right now.
Can I just point of order?
Please.
Board Member Wilson is correct. the issue before the board is, do we wish to have a friendly amendment to the main motion? That's been seconded, but that's it, not all the extra terms. This gives everyone time to figure out what the extra terms were, because I've just gone through and I can't record all of the changes to the emotion. So my preference would be, can we please call a vote on the proposed amendment to the main motion, up or down, do we want to talk about it more or not? And then once that's done, if we could restate what that amendment is by section, then we'll know what we're voting on. So there'll be a new motion that says, I want to approve the handbook with the following changes, okay? So but there's a middle step. The middle step is, do we want to permit the main motion to be amended? It's the up or down. It's just simple. And if the answer to that is yes, then the next question is, okay, what is the amendment? And that's when we get into the 5A, R, 6, TOR, whatever the thing is, okay? Because I, quite frankly, lost track. And I believe that two of the items that we need to talk about, namely the order of the meeting, as well as the adding items A through G back through, are missing. And I can't tell from the current version of the amendment under discussion whether or not those are there.
Can I clarify?
Clarification, please.
Okay, so I just want to clarify. The amendment, proposed amendment, is to change the motion to still approve the committee's work, but remove 4 sections of changes.
And they are?
So she can write that down.
Yeah, they
Okay.
are?
Hang on, so she can write that down, go one by one, because Dr. Tiller, you brought up a whole bunch of stuff, right? And then what Mr. Flynn is doing is taking portions of that and saying, I'll agree to this, I'll agree to this, I'll agree to this. So what we're going to do is have Ms. Garay write all of that down, and then she'll repeat that back to us, because that's going to be the motion. And then and then to clarify, and then Mr. Flynn can make his motion again, and if Dr. Hunley would like to second that motion, then we can have a discussion on that and vote on that, right? So, could you please, one line by line, slowly, so
Thank
that
you.
she can write it down?
The
Point of
first,
order.
okay.
There's a point of
Mr.
order.
Chairman, point of order.
What is the point of order, sir?
The point of order is that once any motion is seconded, the maker of the motion has no ability to withdraw it. The seconder has no ability to withdraw their second. They have no privilege of revising or doing anything to the motion except arguing for or against amending the previous motion. But that becomes the business of the group. The current motion is whether or not to amend the previous motion. So there have been there's a proposal to make several revisions to our original motion. Our business now, and this is my point of order, our only business now is whether to accept the amendment, because motions, once they're seconded, they belong to the entire group. They don't belong to the person who made it or the person who seconded it. They become the business of the entire group. So the appropriate thing to do now, and this is my point of order, is to, if any clarification needed, amend the original motion. And so we all vote on that, and then we can go back and decide whether or not to adopt the original motion if it was amended. That's my point of order.
I
Thank
see
you.
what you're saying. So you're saying that we should vote on whether or not to amend the original motion first, and then discuss what the second motion was. Is that what you're saying? I can dig it. Okay, and that makes sense. So that's what you're saying. So
Yes.
Robert's Rules of Order, that's what it is, right? So now we're going to vote. Now we're going to make a motion to amend the original motion, and then we're just going to vote on that. Just do we want to amend the original
Okay,
motion? Right?
there has been a motion to amend the motion.
Okay, we're going to do that right now.
That is our only business.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so I think, okay. So I just want to clarify the four pieces that were, I think, I just want to go back to that, the four pieces that were in the proposal.
First of all, here, Mr. Flynn, can we do this? Can you make a motion to amend your motion?
Yes, I think.
Just say
okay,
that, just say that.
I make a motion to amend my motion on certain
Okay,
pieces.
amend the original. Do we have a second? Yes. Okay, now we have, call the question. Call the question.
Okay, before we do this, I just want to clarify which pieces.
And then, no, we just have to vote to amend. And then once we vote to amend, then you can say, this is the amendment, then we can vote on that. Yeah? Okay, call the question. So we're voting to amend. He's made the motion.
Second.
Mr. Flynn made a motion. Dr. Hunley is making a second. Do we vote on, let's vote on it. All in favor?
Would you restate
Aye.
the current motion we're voting on?
Mr. Wilson, we are voting right now. We've just had a vote, a first motion to amend the original motion. So we're voting to amend. That's it. That's what you said. So we have a second.
And the question has been called.
A question has been called. We are voting now. All in favor, well, let's start with Ms. Polk.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Mr. Wilson, where we are now,
All opposed?
we have voted to amend the original motion. Now, what Mr. Flynn is going to say, hang
I
on.
didn't get a chance to vote.
You just
nay.
did, dude,
No,
right?
I mean.
We just voted.
You called all in favor?
Any opposed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nay.
Mr. Wilson votes to against amending the original motion.
Yeah. Motions get
So
votes.
now we're on the amendment, and Mr. Flynn will now describe what the amendment is.
Okay, so getting back to, thank you. Yes, it does. Oh, okay.
I'm talking to you. Are we good? We're moving on now, right?
It's quite confusing.
Yes.
I don't have anything to say right
All
now.
right, so now.
You go
Mr.
ahead and continue leading the meeting.
Okay, so right now, Mr. Flynn is going to talk about what the amendment is. All right, Mr. Flynn, go ahead. Slowly, please, so she can
I'll
write it down.
listen. Someone else talk.
The first would be not adopting the new language on 4AV, which is role of board officers, elections of officers, starting at the December 2026 board meeting. Board members must complete CSBA's MIG and Brown Act training to be eligible for an officer position. The amendment would be to keep the original language and not include that due to the fact that there is now new language in the board goals that addresses professional development.
So just so I'm going to reiterate, so we're really clear here with our new, we are not going to include 4V, the statement that you just read with the starting at the December meeting, ...
That will not be included.
We
That will
are
be
not
deleted.
including that.
Thank you. Okay. So, let me know when you're ready for the second one.
That's okay, you guys take your time. It's all good. This is our meeting.
You just say delete. 5.
Yeah, take your time, Martha. It's all right.
All right, next section.
Thank you. For governance norms, restoring the cut to A, focus on student learning and student achievement, and restoring the cut to R, refrain from directing, sorry, not that one, sorry. Q, participate in professional development by committing the time and energy necessary to be an informed and effective board member. So keeping the original language on those two subpoints.
So just to make sure on the same page, we're looking at section 9, restoring the language on 9A and 9, what used to be Q.
That is correct.
I feel like I'm in a bingo game.
Okay. So that, it would, yeah.
Sorry, I apologize.
We'll do this slowly, okay? It's taken us 8 months to get here. Bingo, go slowly. I'm so sorry, staff. I'll get you guys Starbucks next time.
Okay. Just want to confirm it's removing the cut to keeping A and R, and then tell me whenever you're ready for the last one.
Can you repeat, were you saying that we are keeping R?
Keeping A and R, there's a proposed cut to it. The committee unanimously voted to cut those two. However, just keeping the original subpoints on A and R.
Well, you just mentioned Q, which is restoring professional development.
Sorry, Q.
But R should still be in there.
No, I'm not proposing that. It would be it would be the one on student learning and the one on professional development, since those were the two that were mentioned primarily. Thank you. And then there's one more, which is restoring, reviewing, and readopting the governance handbook at every organizational meeting. That piece under B, which was expressed as a concern.
So we're keeping that?
We're keeping that. And I think that that is a fair compromise. We are addressing the major points. There are certain points we just won't agree on, but I think that the feedback I got was that those are some major points.
So, we'd like to ask
I'm sorry, Trustee Flynn, which section again for the annual, just so we're all following along at home?
It was section 18, board
Got it.
evaluation.
Okay.
Section B, review and reapprove the governance handbook each year.
So
Restoring
section
that.
18B. B as in boy?
Keep it in. The other edits are okay, though, remember.
So we're going to ask Ms. Gray to read the motion that was seconded. Yeah, is that cool?
A second.
We already have the second, Dr. Hunley did. And so, Ms. Gray, would you please read us the motion that was made and seconded, and we'll vote on it.
Move to approve the revised governance handbook, not including new language in Section 4V, restoring original language in Section 9A and Q, and restoring original language in Section 18B as in boy.
May we have a vote, please? Ms. Polk?
Aye.
All in favor? We're going to have discussion again? All right, discussion, gang.
It's a new motion. All right, good, we heard.
Dr. Tilly, Mr. Wilson, did you want to have a comment after?
So what's missing is the Brown Act prohibition, which is of concern to me, but I guess we're just going to trust the world. And the ordering of the, I do trust all of you. I just want to protect the public that we serve. And the language regarding the reordering of the meeting status, so that's missing from there. So a yay vote would allow those changes to go through. I have another question, and that is that by doing this, we're not abrogating board policy. This is just our cheat sheet. So whatever we do here, just because the board doesn't choose to include in its handbook an item doesn't mean that we're somehow revoking our board policy or the law, right? Right, okay, good. All right, thank you.
Mr. Wilson, Dr. Hunley.
I think many of these proposed changes will be beneficial. Nevertheless, I object to the number of changes, to the scope of the changes, so I'm not planning on supporting the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Hunley?
In the interest of moving forward, I'd like to call the question.
All in favor, Ms. Polk?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Dr. Hunley, Mr. Flynn, and I voted aye. Mr. Wilson and Ms. Polk voted aye, and Dr. Hunley, Dr. Tilly voted no. Cool? Sí. Muchas gracias, señoras y señor. And thank you so much, all of you, for this. I mean, it took us like 9 months, right? But we're here, and we trust each other. We're good, yeah? All right, let's move on. Where are we? 15. We're done with the action items. Informational items, 15A, review of the revision of English learners reclassification criteria. There is no presentation, I believe. Do we have a public speaker here?
The next public speaker is on 15B, Madam
Okay,
President.
is there any board discussion on the reclassification? That was kind of cool, yeah? Okay, moving on to item 15B, FSUSD Artificial Intelligence Task Force Report on AI Integration. You said there are public speakers here?
We have a public speaker.
Okay.
Corwin Gibson is coming forward.
Mr. Gibson, you have the floor, sir. Thanks for hanging with us, man.
Here we go. Oh, hey. Good evening to everyone here, members of the board, superintendent, my own administrators. My name is Corwin Gibson. I teach theater and English at Fairfield High School. I've been there a couple of years. This is my third year at that school. Prior to that, I worked at San Nieto as an English teacher. I was recruited out of Western Colorado and grateful for it, and I have loved being here ever since. I'm actually here tonight to implore this board and to all leadership to start pumping the brakes on any plans to allow, much less integrate, AI tools or any of these apps in our schools. Have we not learned our lesson from smartphones? Have we not learned our lesson from social media and using it in schools? Do we have a short memory? These AI products are the latest scheme from largely the same exact tech leaders who gave us those other headaches. We actually, if anything, probably need stricter rules. Most of these products have been thrown at us while being unready for public consumption. Tesla's self-driving AI loves crashing cars. Google's AI has managed to make their search engine pretty unreliable. And ChatGPT told a kid detailed instructions on how to end his own life, and he did it. Every single one of these pieces of software is built on harvesting data. It doesn't matter what that data is. They want it. You think we can trust these same people with private data of our students? With stuff we're supposed to protect by law? You would be foolish to think that we can trust them. These products will continue to harvest data as you use them. They smarter, okay? And I'm not some idiot up here who thinks that these are Skynet from Terminator. These are just advanced freaking math problems to give you the best answer for whatever it is you're asking for. And unfortunately, many of those times, they're incorrect. They give you bad information, or they provide you just basically the slop that they have been filled with.
20 seconds, sir. I'm sorry.
Thank you. All of these ventures are propped up currently by the insane AI investment bubble, and it is a bubble, and more economists are getting in on this and going, listen, this is a bubble and it's going to burst, okay? When this bubble bursts, where will we be? How?
Oh, sorry. Sorry, sir. The timer was not working on the screen, but we appreciate it. All right.
Thank you so much for your comments. Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment, Dr. Melissa Farrar, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good evening, Board President Patero, members of the board, Superintendent Sachs, and staff. I'm excited to share the work of the FSUSD 2024-25 Artificial Intelligence Task Force. Our goal was to explore how AI can support teaching, learning, and district operations in a safe, equitable, and ethical way, while also preparing our students for a technology-driven future. Our task force included teachers, administrators, counselors, classified staff, and district office staff. Our work focused on three main areas: exploring AI's role in our schools, ensuring its responsible use, and preparing students for what lies ahead. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Kiana Thomas to share more about the task force's work.
Thank you, Melissa. The AI Task Force centered our efforts on three key areas. First, the needs assessment, where we gathered input from staff, students, and task force members about opportunities and concerns. Second, the integration plan, which focused on instruction, professional development, and creating a process for vetting AI tools. And third, updating the policies, establishing clear guidelines for both staff and students to ensure responsible AI use. From this work, the task force developed several recommendations. We suggest implementing and communicating expectations to sites, including sample syllabus language for grades 6 through 12, reviewing updated acceptable use policies, and ensuring that only district-approved AI tools are used. We also recommend promoting professional development for classified and certificated staff to support ethical and responsible AI use. And finally, we encourage reinforcing academic honesty, helping teachers clarify proper AI use and citations for students. I'll now turn the presentation over to Jen Roush.
All right. Well, I am excited to share with you two infographics that were created by Michelle Schoen. She is a teacher at Matt Garcia Career and College Academy and did her master's work on artificial intelligence. So we created these infographics and reviewed them with the AI task force as ways to explain to students and staff when it is appropriate or not appropriate to use artificial intelligence in your learning. In theory, a teacher could keep it on red the whole school year or move into the yellow or the green areas as they deemed appropriate in their classroom. Looking ahead, there are three key actions that we're looking to guide implementation. First, we know technology changes rapidly, and AI is changing rapidly. So we want to make sure that the Curriculum Council reviews this report annually and updates as necessary, keeping a focus on equity, access, and responsible innovation. Second, professional development. We will continue providing resources and training opportunities for all staff. And third, we want to integrate some AI literacy instruction for our students. Our teacher librarians are going to be looking at different resources in both their library instruction and for co-teaching with our teachers. We want to ensure our students are focused on the critical thinking skills for all technology use, including artificial intelligence, getting them prepared for our future. This concludes our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any board discussion? Mr. Wilson, Ms. Polk, and Mr. Flynn.
Thank you. I have a very positive reaction to our speakers' comments. To me, the difference between the internet before AI arrived 2 years ago, Wikipedia, Google, and the internet with AI technologies is that the only difference is AI plagiarizes and impersonates. Acts like I'm a human being and this is what I think is wise. The information is there, but I hope the critical information piece, would orient students to there's lots of claimed information, and if a plagiarization engine, impersonation engine, it doesn't make it better. So I hope our policies will robustly teach us that be careful of what information you adopt and what voices you accept. But I appreciated the comments from our speaker, And that's what I want to say. Thank you.
AI is heavily used, especially in high school, but I can tell you that there's different reasons why we use it. We don't just use it to do our work. I've used it many times to help create a schedule for my daily life, create plans on what I'm doing, how I should do it, because I struggle with that sometimes. And not saying my parents aren't the best parents in the world and can't help me, but I have to gain independence at some point in time, and so that's how I would love to do it. I think that this plan is actually a really good idea, being that if it's approved by your teacher, you should be able to use it, but also in classrooms in general, you're not even supposed to have your cell phones out. So if your teacher allows you to have your cell phone out, they're obviously trusting you with enough to tell you, hey, okay, you can do this with your cell phone, you can't do this. And I don't know about many other schools, but I know at Fairfield High, we're really adamant on that. You can have your phone out at this time, you can't have it out at this time. And it's just been like that for forever and ever. And our teachers are actually equipped with the things and the skills to detect if it's AI or not, which is why most of our students don't use it on our work, because you will get in trouble if it is AI. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the report. I think I asked a couple agenda questions on this. And I think based on that information, my strongest concern is the academic dishonesty piece, especially at the secondary level. I think it's important that teachers have the appropriate ability to combat and detect any academic dishonesty or plagiarism, while also recognizing that if there are any benefits, there are very careful, clear guidelines, and it's done within an appropriate space. So I like what the student board member said in terms of making schedules. It's possible to generate ideas, but making sure that if there's any ideas that it's clearly labeled, if there's any assignment that we're following the appropriate policies, and always being academically honest and transparent, and making sure that the teachers have those clear, strong resources to detect and combat academic dishonesty, plagiarism, or not appropriate use of AI in assignments.
Dr. Hunley, and then Ms. Polk again.
Yes, I do have some concerns. My understanding is that a lot of these AI detectors also have a lot of issues with false positives and things like that. So, until the technology is such that, I don't believe we should be solely depending on that to determine if there is an issue. Also, I would hope that in the future, the committee would work with organizations like the Independent Center for AI Ethics and other organizations that are independent in what they move forward with. Thank you.
Polk, and then Dr. Tilley.
So my math teacher, she actually teaches us differently than what AI would say. So she's obviously caught people using AI, but it's completely different work from what we're actually learning. So that's how she would know that it's not correct. People tend to use AI during English class. Our teachers have over 14 systems that they run your essays through and everything you do to get it through it, to make sure you're not using AI. So thank you.
Well, educators across the country at all levels, higher education as well, are struggling with this, okay? Not just the ethics. The ethics are a huge piece, but really, if we're in the business of educating students, and students are being educated by drones, basically, it creates a huge burden in the classroom, because we have to develop resources and policies that support our teachers in order to allow them. Who has time to filter every essay that was handed in, for homework every week? There's probably an app for it, but then you're trusting AI to monitor itself, which is a little bit scary, okay? But having said that, where I've seen some creative solutions, especially in writing and stuff, is that what's happening is that, a lot of writing is happening again in the classroom. Here's your prompt. You have 50 minutes, go, And if there's no cell phones, because we're restricting that, then that means, hey, probably not going to do it. I don't even know how you do it with math. In the early days, I know it. I've seen it. And you know it when you see it. You smell it. It's bad. And then you have the dilemma, what do? I don't want to confront the student. Oh, well, talk to my dean. Talk to my principal. Talk to the board. And so what I love about this task force is, and the foresight that our superintendent as well as the board has in discussing this, is that, hey, we're on it, we're trying, okay? It's real. And I happen to agree very much with the speaker as well, so forgive me for that bias because we don't normally comment on public comment. But that be that as it may, there are ways that it enriches our own lives and our students' lives, but there is tremendous risk. And we're not going to be able to manage it, you guys, but what we can do is we can provide the supports that are needed to reduce the amount of work our teachers and students need to go through to figure out what's safe, what's not safe. I mean, I like that graphic. Stop. Maybe. Yes. Okay? Because then that means that the instructor is ready to deal with those consequences, because that means they're ready to scan and to take care of it. So I applaud this first effort from the task force, and I thank you for that. And I know that we'll be working on this for years to come. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Superintendent, you have a comment?
Just a few things just to share. We are certainly not doing this in isolation. There's a whole county group that's involved, as well as the state of California Department of Education, that has a whole task force that's working on it. Their focus is on first learning about AI and then learning with AI, and not cheating with AI is really what they're really focusing in on. So they start off with a couple foundational beliefs. Human relationships are crucial. We need our teachers. We need folks that are going to be there with our students to support them comprehensively, and not just a robot that's going to provide answers. Prioritizing student safety is paramount. So everything that's been brought up with regards to deep fakes and all of that this work group at the state is also a group that's really looking into that. Promoting ethical use, which we already have been doing through our library media teachers, talking about digital citizenship and all of that. So in the past, just throwing a phone at a child versus really trying to say, what are technology for, and then involving local partners, the teachers, classified staff members, county representatives, experts, and so we can all link arms together in order to move forward. And be a lot of trepidation about it, but if we're going to learn about it and learn with it, then you know what, that is time well spent. So it doesn't get completely out of hand. It's scary, but I really do appreciate the work that this task force has been doing, and the fact that we are engaging on this journey with so many other community partners and groups that are doing a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to research and resources and materials. So thank you, Trustee Hunley, for some of those. I'm sure we've already got them, but we're always looking for more. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Polk?
Just one more thing. Earlier or just now, somebody had mentioned that putting AI into AI isn't the smartest thing, which is also true. But teachers know their students and they know how their students talk. So if I were to write an essay, and my friends write essays and they don't talk normally, like not normally, they don't talk properly, my teacher would know that that's not them. And so then you can go from there. I think, yes, that's not the smartest idea to put AI into AI, but teachers know their students, and I'm very heavily aware of that, especially at Fairfield High. There's real connections, like you have a real connection with every single teacher you have, and it stays like that until you leave Fairfield High. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have a couple of comments. As a teacher myself, who assigns lots of papers, I have a real concern that we're working ourselves into obsolescence, to where now AI is going to create our syllabi for us, and a sample syllabus language. Do we not think that our teachers can write their own syllabi? They should know how to write their syllabus for their specific classes. My second thing is this AI literacy training. How many more things do we want our teachers to do? I'm a teacher. We have to do student learning outcomes. We have to do all, this is before we get to school. And then we're teaching our students, and then we have to get them into AI, understand AI and learn that ourselves. That is so much more work that we need to do. And if I recall, our student council last year said they would like to have more writing, right, on paper, rather than have a computer shoved in front of their faces. And then we have to do AI, and we don't have anything to monitor. I've been harping on we need to get this Go Guardian thing going. We've had so many teachers, not only at Grange, Big L. Wilson and other schools say, this will help them monitor. If we're gonna get into AI, we're gonna need some kind of monitoring. Third, as a teacher, it's hard to be able to, if a student uses AI to write an English paper, the teacher has to prove that that student didn't do it. I understand what Ms. Polk said. I'll give you a specific example. I had a student send me a text message, an email, at 10 o'clock one evening, and would like to have some extra credit. I said, you need to read this book. This book is 229 pages long. That was at 10 o'clock at night. At 12:30 the next afternoon, that student had submitted a graduate level paper. And this is what they do, and this student didn't even bother to change the font. It was in day, month, year. We go month, day, year. And the font was in Times Roman, which we don't do. And I looked, and like you said, this student doesn't speak like this. I've seen several other papers, they don't write like that. And between 10 o'clock at night and 12:30 the next day, you're going to tell me that you've read an entire book that's 229 pages. The only person I know who can do that is Dr. Farrar, because she reads a book every single day, and she has a doctorate degree. You're telling me that a community college student who's taken an introduction to public speaking class can read a book at 10 o'clock at night and finish a paper the next day? When do they sleep? Monster drink won't keep you up that late, right? 5-hour energy drink won't keep you up that late. And if you do, you are not writing that kind of paper. I know I was a graduate student. I walk up the stairs at 8 o'clock in the morning by staying up at 2 o'clock and writing that paper, right? And that wasn't a very good paper. And so you look at that, I have a really, really big concern about that, because if a student turns in that paper to the teacher, that teacher can't prove that that was AI. They can say, well, the student doesn't talk. Prove to me that this student wrote this with AI. In addition to that, look at us when we're text messaging, right? AI finishes our sentences. If they're going to finish our sentences, we're going to lose the ability to speak, because somebody else is speaking for us. Something is speaking for us. In addition to that, who is writing the coding? That's an entirely different language. So if an entity is putting all this AI stuff together and they don't look like us, what does that look like? Those are all concerns that we have to think about. We need to get back to writing. What I do with my students, I give them a template. Here's your structure. You're going to fill that in class so that I can see you on paper with your own writing. And then you go type it up, and then you submit it. All right? So those are the concerns that we have. And I know that you're young and you lose the schedule. That's fine. Do it on your own. We're not going to do that. I don't want this to be in school, because the more we get there, we go that rabbit hole. That teacher's going to be obsolete. That teacher's going to be obsolete. And before we know it, a computer is going to be teaching our students. They're starting to learn how to do emotions now, to recognize emotions, right? Well, we're going to move on. We'll come back to Ms. Polk, have some more questions. But those are the concerns that we all have. Please, Dr. Farrar, you're bloody brilliant. Please take into consider the teachers' concerns, because we are in the classrooms and we see these students every day, and they're going to do everything that they can to get over. And our job is to educate them so they can be adults, productive members of our community, and be able to create a speech themselves and to be able to communicate themselves. Because our brains are going to get smaller and smaller if somebody else is writing for us and somebody else is speaking for us. Look at your text. If you start your text and it finishes it for you and you let it go, we're not speaking anymore. So I'd like to move on. So those are the discussions. We all have some concerns about that. Please take that into consideration. And then we move on to item 18B, and that is employee organization reports as SUDA.
We skipped
Oh, sorry. Good God, where are we? Oh, here. 17, right? Oh, 16, 17, nothing there. 18, A, written report, annual report on the, Fairfield Unified School District, professional development, there's no presentation, there are no public speakers. Do we have any board discussion? All right, we've exhausted ourselves on the last one. 18B, employee organization reports, SUDA, APA, CSEA, FISMA, in no particular order. You have the floor. You too.
Thank you for our CSCA representative from Dana Rue. Come on down. Yay.
Yeah. Item 18. Oh, thank you so much. You have the floor.
Thank you. Good evening. Tonight was very interesting. Good evening, Superintendent Sash, members of the governing board of the Fairfield Suisun Unified School District, and attendees. I'm Vendora Russell Bradley, paraeducator at Dana Root. I've been a para since 2010. On the behalf of CSEA, I'm here to speak. I've been here as a para for 15 years. It was an honor for me to attend the 99th CSEA conference, and we learned that sorry, my phone is kind of messed up. Our theme for this year is United for Tomorrow, Rooted in Strength. And it says, our root runs deep, grounded in decades of solidarity, service, and shared commitments to California students. So I look forward for a great school year for 2025 to 2026. And I want to express my gratitude for the opportunity to speak for tonight. And may God bless our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there other organizational reports? No? Okay. Student Board Members Report, item 18C. You have the floor, Ms. Pope.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Since our last conversation, I've been super busy with volleyball. I started a club at Fairfield High, and I've been running around campus trying to get letters of recommendation for the upcoming annual 26th HBCU College Fair this Sunday at Mount Calvary Baptist Church. I'll be tapping on you, Madam President, maybe for a letter of rec. It's last minute, I know, but senior year is going by really fast. And when I stop to smell the roses, it's already graduation. Thank you so much for your guys' support. I'm so proud that our school will be the district's site for our annual college fair on October 21st of this year. Fairfield High School, the district school, is the seat of FSUSD's power, and I'm glad that we are getting able to get some good press this year. All around the district, we have been busy at work doing what we do best, positioning our students for success. Students from Fairfield High, Armio, and several other schools had the opportunity to attend a San Francisco Giants game through our AVID programs. This was not only a fun experience, but also an educational one. Students learned about the wide variety of career paths available in sports-related industries, from business and marketing, media, event planning, and more. Opportunities like this help students see how their education connects to their future. It is my hope that the district will continue to find creative ways to make trips like this accessible to our students as they help support instruction and everyday routines in the classroom. Students have support from athletics, and activities department all across the district, holding spirit weeks, filling our stadiums with family members and friends for fall sports, and from various academic partners to keep our students motivated and supported as our first grading period opens. Which brings me to another point. Students might not understand that this first progress report is very important, that it sets them up for the rest of what they can do during their first term. Principals, I have an ask. Talk to your students and explain to them how their performance in their classroom impacts their progress we're making on school campuses all across the district to increase student involvement. A student's first approach to the educational experience is what my parents have worked tirelessly to instill in me, and I'm sitting here today as proof of what the philosophy can do. Activities and athletics depend on our students' academic success in the classroom. Due to our unfortunate events at our beloved Fairfield High this week, I wasn't able to meet with my team of student leaders. Issues arise, we know this, but I remain resolute in my goals for this school year, one of which was to be a megaphone for the great work on all of our campuses. In that regard, I will be working with Director Witt to build a digital report structure so that what happens this week does not drown out all of the good we're doing on our campuses. Moving forward, I will be sharing words from all over the district directly from my schoolmates to you. I will visit a couple sites to get experience firsthand in all the work that they are doing. Get ready, site leaders, because the IANA train is on the way. Thank you for your attention tonight. I look forward to continuing this work. Thank you and good night.
Very nice. Thank you, Ms. Witt, for your advice, being an advisor. These speeches are absolutely wonderful, and thank you for your involvement. And that brings us to item 21, adjournment. We're adjourning today on September 18th, the regular board meeting, in memory and honor of Mr. Carl B. Thorsted, who's a retired FSUSD educator, and Mr. Robert Bon Christiani, who's a retired FSUSD educator and the very first principal at Dano Root. May they rest in peace, and may their memories be a blessing. Have a good night, everybody. Drive carefully, and meeting is adjourned.